Hi, welcome to my studio. It's been a while since I've done a video. I hope to get back on track there. Today we're going to put a painting on a cradled panel board. So this has a nice smooth surface on the top and wood all around the edges, which is called the cradle. It has that panel of wood, nice and smooth. And I'm going to attach a watercolor painting that I did on 140 pound paper. You can do it on 300 pound if you want. And I'm going to use two different spatulas. I have this offset spatula or palette knife. It's just a plastic one that I can clean up. And I'm going to use extra heavy gel matte medium from Golden. And I got a bigger palette knife here just to kind of scoop it out with. So you want to apply a generous amount of this gel medium onto your panel. You don't want to be skimpy with it. It has to really hold on to this painting forever. And I won't want any bare spots. So I'm taking my big spatula and just kind of getting it on there. And just smooth it out as best as I can at this point. And making sure that I get the edges really well and the corners especially. For some reason, seems to all get squished out and the corners start to curl up. So you really want to put a little bit extra on those corners and make sure you get all the way to the edges on all four sides. You have a little bit of a time to work with this. It doesn't dry super fast. So as long as you keep moving it around, you're just fine. Okay, get those corners. And try to even it out a little bit. You notice it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth or anything because you're gonna roll it down with a brayer, but the best I can, so just keep it less work. And now I'm going to take the offset knife here and just smooth it a little bit more. Kind of like decorating a cake. You want to get the frosting really smooth. This is just like frosting. Same consistency. I used to do that too at one point in my life. Did wedding cakes. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure it's on all those edges and smooth it out as best I can. Just not to have any really deep grooves in there. Or big air pockets. That's looking pretty good. Make sure the corners got some on there. Those edges. Yep, okay, looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take my painting and I'm going to give it a curve. I'm going to bend it a little bit, let it kind of guess where I'm going to want it to end up, and just kind of slowly put it down just to make sure I don't get any pockets of air underneath it. So now I'm just feeling around the edges with my finger just to make sure that the board is going to be even all the way around, centering my painting where I want it. And this paper being 140, I can just bend it and I can see where those edges are going to end up. And at this point you also can still move it around quite easily. So just kind of centering my painting, because once this is on there and it's dry, it's permanent. I love to do this technique because I don't have to have a frame. So moving my art around to art fairs and in galleries in and out, it's always getting in, the car, and frames, they scratch pretty easily, especially if you use the acetate instead of glass. It hardly takes anything to put scratches in that. So I really like the way it looks after this is all done because it's very contemporary, nice clean lines and no scratches. So I'm taking my little brayer roller here and I'm going from the center out towards the edges, just making sure that it's all nice and flat. All the air pockets are out of there. Roll it around on the edges. I don't want to squish the glue out, so I don't want to roll it too much, but just enough to get the job done. And curving these little edges of the paper downward does help it to stick a little bit better on the corners. Okay. So now I can take it and see that I've got it all the way around, and as you can see, some of the glue squished out, and I want to clean that up right now because I don't want that to dry, because then I'll have big lumps and lumps on my wood, and I want that to be nice and pretty, so when you hang it on the wall, it looks professional. So I'm just going to take some clean paper towel, and I'm going to just wipe away any of that excess gel medium, and making sure that I also get it all off of the wood. I'm using the matte finish. It also comes in a gloss. You can use whatever you like. I just picked matte because if it does get on the wood, it's not going to be shiny. It'll be matte like the rest of the wood is. I'm really trying to wipe it off that wood as much as I can, the best as I can. So I just keep turning my paper towel, get clean side there, and get the majority off first, and then I'm cleaning it up. Make sure get it all off the wood. And I'm wearing gloves because this can be pretty messy, and it gets all over your fingers, and it's, you know, you have to peel it off your skin. It doesn't wash off real easily once it's dry, so if you got an extra pair of gloves, that's great. Okay, just keep cleaning it up there. Got another clean piece of paper towel. Just can't be too careful. Just keep cleaning it. Make sure I got every last bit off of that wood on all four sides. There. That'll do it. Okay. So now when I flip it over, I want to make sure that those edges are nice, that all of the painting stuck really well onto it. And then I'm just going to take something heavy, anything, a book. This is a patio stone. I'm going to let it dry at least overnight. Okay, so now through the magic of video, it is the next day and it's all nice and dry, and I'm checking my edges, make sure that everything's secure. If it's not, I could go back and put a little bit more of that gel gloss under there and let it dry again. But this turned out pretty good. And this mat that I'm working on is one of those self-healing mats, so it's great to cut on, and I'm using a utility knife. Don't use an X-Acto knife because the blade is too flexible and it can make wavy edges. I learned that the hard way. So I'm just going to take a couple passes, nice sharp knife. Don't use a dull blade. And I'm just going to take 2 passes here, and yep, that's all it took. And I'm going to go around all 4 sides and do the same thing, and I'm tilting the blade just slightly inward just so I can use the side of the wood to guide the blade. I don't want to get, there we go. Make sure you don't bend it too much where you, or tilt it too much inward where you're cutting it into the wood. You don't want to do that. Okay, making a couple passes there. So now I can feel it around the edges a little bit, and I know that right there I didn't quite get close enough, so I'm going to have to go back and just shave off just a little bit. Just take your time, go slow, don't cut real fast. There, you can see it was just barely, but whoops, don't pull it, just cut it. Okay, it was just barely, just a little hair, but it makes a difference. Let's see if there's any more anywhere, so I'm just checking my edges really well, make sure I don't have to trim any extra. And that looks pretty good. All right. So make sure you close your blade. Don't want to lean on it, cut your arm or something. Just to be safe, safety first. Now I'm going to take a sanding block. This is 220 super fine sandpaper, And believe it or not, I'm going to sand the edges right on my painting. I'm just beveling them, really. I'm just kind of beveling it over just slightly. It might leave not even a 1/16 of an inch where you sand the paint off. But if you do it even on all 4 sides, it looks good. It looks intentional. And that's what you want. You don't want any of those edges where they'll be able to flip up, because that'll be not look good, right? You want to keep it nice and smooth, especially those corners. You don't want that real sharp point on the corner. So I'll just take it and kind of round it down just a little bit, just like that. Not too much, but just enough. You can see right there, I got a little bit extra. And I'm going to try to... There, it was already cut, but it was just a little tiny piece that didn't cut as smooth, so I took it off and then just sanded it smooth. Just beveling them all 4 sides, just like that. So you want to be a little careful about it. You can see I'm holding that sanding block kind of straight up and down with a slight angle. You don't want to, really sand on top of your painting. Very, very minimal. And that's that same corner there. I just want to make sure I beveled that in. And I want it to match all the rest. There, make it nice and smooth. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, I'm going to now just take a paper towel and wipe everything off because I don't want any of the residue from the sandpaper to be in my painting because I'm going to seal it next. So I want it nice and clean to do that. Wipe all those edges off. There's usually not much there, but just to be safe. Okay, so now I'm going to seal it. So there's my painting, and I just saw that I forgot to sign it. I'm just going to use my micron pen there and sign my painting. There you go. People look for that signature too. It's funny because I sometimes do forget. You could always sign the edges too if you wanted. Okay, to seal it, I'm going to use Dorland's Wax Medium by Jacquard. This is really nice. It's a soft wax and it has a little bit of resin in it. And when it dries, it'll dry hard and you can buff it to, make it a little glossy or a satin finish to it. That's how I like to do it. I don't like too much glare, but the more you buff it, the shinier it gets, and then you let it dry. And I like to let it dry for a couple weeks. I can move it around. I can take it, to a gallery or something and it'll be fine. But in a couple weeks, it's really nice and hard. So you just take a little bit on a cloth. You can use, I'm using a paper towel, or you could use a microfiber cloth, anything that doesn't have lint in it. And just apply a nice thin layer. And I like to use a circular motion. And I also like to get all the edges because I did not paint the edges of my cradle panel here. You can do that. It looks really good. Or I like the natural look. So I'm just going to seal it. And I also sealed the cradles with Thompson's water seal, like a deck stain, just to make sure that all the inside and the outside is protected. Because I live in Florida and it's humid here. And, just to make sure if this got in the humidity that it would protect it and not let it smear my painting. So this seals it very nice. So it protects it from moisture. It protects it from, oils and residue. And also a little bit of UV protection in there. I like to do 2 or 3 coats of it. So I let it dry in between. I got a little blob there. Yep. Let's wipe that off now before it dries. There we go. So I like to let it dry at least 3 to 5 hours before I put another coat on. But if I have the time, I'll let it dry overnight and the next day I'll put another one. Okay, I hope you have peace and love till we meet again, and we'll see you soon.